Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with some more Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord coverage. Earlier today, the official Tailworlds YouTube channel posted a exclusive gameplay video for GamesCom 2017, and this is the multiplayer captain mode, which if you've ever played Tiger Knight Empire War, it's basically just that. Essentially, you're on a team with a couple of other players. I think it's going to be about 5-on-5. And each player has his own like squad of guys, so you could be a archer captain and you would have like 15 archers following you, or you could be like a cavalry captain and you'd have 15 mounted soldiers following you. And it's basically 5-on-5 on a map, and everybody has sort of like a role to play, but nobody's like the overall commander. Again, if you're not too sure on it, just stick with us through this video and you'll kind of see how it works, or just go watch some Tiger Knight gameplay because it's the same damn thing. So anyways, let's jump into the video here. I'm going to be giving my impressions and thoughts and trying to explain some stuff for you guys as we go. I will be pausing quite often. Oh, and I'll have a link in the description for you guys if you'd rather just watch the video all the way through and check it out for yourself. But this is going to be my analysis, so let's go. The first thing we're going to see here is sort of like the character selection screen. Now, when you're playing multiplayer in Bannerlord, you're going to be creating your own character, and you're not necessarily assigned to a faction. It'll be like Warband. You get to go run around with your custom character and join who you want to join and leave whenever you want. But with this, you're basically on a team. In this case, we're looking at the Battanians team. That's one of the new factions for Bannerlord. And this is a really interesting faction because they've got a lot of different things going on here. A lot of people were comparing them in my factions video to sort of like the forest or mount. I don't know about mountain bandits, but basically they seemed like if you took the bandits from Warband and made them into a faction, that's what these guys would be. And we thought they would have a lot of, like Welsh influence, but so far they seem to be all over the place. You can see over here, these are the different unit types available to them. So you have clansmen, axemen, sure. Falksmen, that's where it gets a little bit weird. If you're not sure what a falx is, you can kind of see it based on the weapon silhouette there. The portrait here is not showing you much. But it's basically like if you took a wheat thresher and turned it... I mean, that's not quite right, because that's more like a scythe. But it's sort of like if you took a sword and curved the blade forward instead of curving it back like a saber. And the main blade, or the only blade, I guess, is on the curved front part. So it's like the opposite of a saber almost. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but just Google falx and you'll see what they look like. But they were known to be used mostly by the Thracians and the Dacians. They gave the Romans hell with these weapons. But I don't see how they really fit into this faction. I guess they're sort of making this like an amalgamation of like a lot of underdog factions throughout history, because there is some like Celtic and Welsh influence that we'll see later, but based on this Falksman one, that's completely something different. And then you can see the name here where the player's cursor is. Here, I'll click on this, go a little bit further forward so we can actually see it. But these are Ulfhednar, and that's a very Norse name. If you've ever played Expeditions Viking, one of the main characters named Gunnar is an Ulfhedin, and they're basically like axe berserkers. And so, again, kind of a weird influence to have in there. We've got like Thracian or Dacian, which is like modern day Romania, that area. So Thracian or Dacian, we'll see later a little bit of Celtic influence, and then we've got a little bit of Norse influence too. So they're kind of all over the place. But the more important thing to look at here is that you're choosing from these different units, and there are ranged and cavalry units that we'll see later. I think because of who the other players have selected, this guy can only choose infantry, like there's already too many cavalry players or something. But we can see that there's 4 options, and then down here there's little like traits. So I'm going to play a little bit further forward until he clicks on one. And so you can see now he's got Fighting Madness and Shield Splitter Axes. But to sort of customize your little squad of troops further and differentiate them from maybe somebody else's Ulfhednar or Falksman or whatever, you can choose 2 traits. And so you have the option of like Shield Splitter Axes or better armor, so if you want to go offensive versus defensive, or you can do mauls instead of axes. And then we don't know what's in this one. I don't think he clicks on it, but this one is more like, this one's more equipment type stuff, and this one's more like actual traits. And this applies to all the different unit types. So kind of cool. You get to differentiate your units from everybody else's a little bit. And then we get to see like all the stats of the weapons and whatnot. So let's keep going. Was he going to give them mauls? Now here we see another player on the Battanian side, and he's actually in the ranged unit part. So we can see there's hunters, which are like these light archers, and then we have Fion, which are heavier archers. That to me sounds like a very Celtic word. It could be like specifically Welsh, but I'm not super familiar with anything to do with Welsh or the Welsh language, so I don't know for sure, but it sounds either, you know, Celtic or Welsh to me, although those things do overlap. So another weird influence they're thrown in there. Let's keep going. Try not to spend too much time on any one thing, but there's a lot to cover in this video. So there's the Fion. You can see they're a little bit more heavily armored. They've got like full chainmail rather than just the leather. A little bit of like coat of plates, but not a full coat, just like a little chest piece. And then a very like Britain looking helmet. And they're carrying longbows, which is a very like Welsh thing to have. And then we can see these traits here as well. Now we're switching over to the other faction that these guys are playing against, and this is one of the Calradian Empire factions. We don't know which. It could potentially be all three, because I don't know what these little round icons mean. We can see here that there's like a horse or maybe a Pegasus, and then there's a lion, like a very Lannister looking lion on there. And then these are either boars or like maybe like a warg or wolf. But we can see there's three different icons there, and so I don't know if those are like three different factions, or maybe I'm just not sure. I can only venture a guess, and I would say that I just don't even know. But again, you can see the silhouettes behind it. So the cataphracts are here, the legionnaires are here, velites and whatnot. But let's take a look at the units that we've seen with them so far. We have light infantry. We have legionnaires, which are going to be the heavier infantry. Velites are basically javelin men. Equites are light cavalry, or the word literally means cavalry in Latin, so it could cover a wide range of things, but in this case they are light cavalry. And then the cataphracts, which are the heavy cavalry we're seeing here. And again, the traits, the weapons, and all that. Let's go a little bit further forward and we can get a better look at some of these units. The cavalry looks, or excuse me, the cataphracts look great though. That segmented armor looks really cool. So we get a panning shot of the Battanian faction here ready to fight. And so let's take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus the captain. So it looks like the cavalry squads get 8 plus the captain, and then the infantry get a little bit more. It's kind of hard to tell because they're all overlapped awkwardly, but this right here is a group, and the captain's over here somewhere. This is another group, captain here. And then this one overlaps slightly, but this is a group here. And I don't see their captain. But it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, the infantry do have, it looks like double the amount of the cavalry. So 16 followers for infantry captains and 8 followers for cavalry captains. I think we're going to get the same shot of... No, they're going to go right into battle. Okay. Looking at the map here, I think it looks fantastic. This is like a village map, but it has really varied terrain. You can see these little, like... I don't know what to call them. These little, almost like canyons. They're obviously not canyons, but... like natural choke points and stuff that you can take advantage of. We also get a good look at like the physics engine playing out here. You'll see when people die, they die very naturally. We have a... Oops, let's go back a second. We have a infantry squad setting up a little like defensive shield wall here in this choke point. So if the enemy wants to attack these archers back here, they're going to have to go through these guys or all the way around. And there could be somebody over there for all we know. But again, this map has really good varied terrain. And the only other times we ever really see that in Warband is when you're attacking like bandit hideouts. And those are so buggy that you can't really take advantage of the terrain because it's either, you know, flat, slightly hilly, or you're getting stuck on mountains. But here we have all sorts of stuff. You have like little rocky areas that the enemies won't be able to pass, so they have to go through here. You've got like buildings and stuff. You've got like dense tree areas and then clear areas. So these maps look great. It looks like the archers are firing at the... Just to give you guys an idea, one more time. This is the Battanians. This is the Cavalry Empire. So they're firing over this way, if you guys couldn't see that. And then here, it looks like this is where the cavalry battle is taking place. Now we're getting another look at how the new commands work. You can see him actually setting up a formation there, 2 deep, and then sort of angling them a certain way. We get a look at first person versus third person there as he drops one of the enemy cataphracts. The terrain looks very good close up. The armors look pretty good close up. I still have a little bit of an issue with how some of the scale armor looks. It seems almost like lazily done as far as the textures go, but that's just a small nitpicky thing. Let's see, so they're still holding. And the animations look good. The archers seem to be moving pretty naturally. You see that guy die in a really, like, realistic way. So watch him get hit and he sort of, like, collapses onto his knees and then just falls on his face. And we'll see some of the cavalry get killed later that looks great. The horses, I think, are probably the biggest improvement from Warband to Bannerlord. Which, it's a big thing because this is mount and blade after all. This guy's going to destroy some shields right here. He's got that shield splitter axe. And now we're just getting into a messy melee here. One thing that's kind of cool is, this being multiplayer, you'll see a lot of the corpses disappear almost immediately to help keep performance up. So anything that doesn't really need to be there isn't going to stay for very long. But yeah, lots of people dying here. We get to see those improved animations. Here is one of the players doing a very poor job at using this heavy spear that he's got. He's actually doing more damage running people over with the horse than he is actually stabbing them. And he'll do a little bit better with the mace here. But the thing I really take away from this part is looking at his armor and how good it looks. There's very little clipping. When he's swinging around with that segmented armor, you actually don't see the plates cut into each other very often, which I think is a real achievement. That's pretty hard to do. Most games have really unnaturally looking armor. It'll either warp or it'll clip. So far in this, I haven't really seen too much like that. He just destroyed that horse. We didn't get a great look at it though, but we'll see some other horses go down later that look really, really realistic when they go down. He is right now fighting the Equites. That's the light cavalry that we're seeing run around here, and here's somebody actually playing as the Equites. You can see they're basically just wearing like tunics with helmets, and they've got kite shields and medium spears. And it looks like they're fighting over a center flag position, so there is like capture points on these maps, which is kind of cool. It would be nice if they had like a mini map or something so that you could get a better idea of what's going on. And he just got unhorsed and then destroyed. This guy's about to get wrecked by these 4 Battanians here. Yeah. And there's somebody getting trampled. Here's the guy that just did the trampling. He got cut off of his horse, it looks like. Yeah, the horse got taken out. And we get to see some pretty cool animations there with the shields. And the Battanians win. So we're going to get another look at some more units here, because they're going to go into a second round where they choose different characters again. I think we'll get to see the Legionnaires this time. Here's the Axemen closer up if you wanted to see them. Again, I don't love the way the scales look. Also, something I've noticed, and it may just be a function of the banners that they're using, but with the Cavalry Empire units, they have a lot of color. They have, the brown leather, and then the steel, the silver-ish steel, but there's also a lot of like purple cloth. With the Battanians, you don't have any color, and so I don't know if that's because if you look at the Cavalry Empire, they have like purple and yellow symbols here. The Battanians have like this sort of cream color with green, and so maybe it's just the cream color showing up on these guys, and so you can't really tell because it looks sort of like a natural color. But it could just be that the Battanians don't have color, and so that's one issue I would have, is they look like really drab and boring. But I think it's probably just because of these. So let's see. Hopefully he clicks on another unit. I know the Cavalry Empire players will cycle through them a bit. But you do get to sort of pick their loadouts here, which is really cool. And you'll see it change on the guys back there. So these are the Legionnaires. You can see them in the back there, really heavily armored, and this is the Legionnaire Captain with his bejeweled helmet. I think the lamellar armor looks really, really good here. Again, the scales look really flat. The lamellar and the segmented plate stuff look fantastic. The chainmail looks pretty good. Leather looks fine. It just the scales look flat. Like, it looks like they don't even have a normal map. It looks like it's just a flat texture. So that's something I hope they improve. But again, tiny little nitpick thing. Not a big deal. And then here is the light infantry. You can see they're pretty much just cloth and leather armor. I'm digging this helmet. I'm glad to see this helmet make it into the game. These are the ones you'll see on... like if you play Total War Attila, this is the pretty much standard Roman Legionnaire helmet. And so I'm a bit interested in knowing if it really did show up this late in history, because that was a helmet very prominent in like the 400s and 500s AD, where this game takes its influence from like the 10th through 12th century basically. So it might be a little out of place here, but I'm okay with that because I think it's an awesome helmet. And let's see, are we gonna get a look at anybody else? So the Palatine archers, it basically just means elite archers. You can see they're pretty heavily armored. They've got like full chainmail shirts on with leather underneath it, and it looks like some sort of coif, like a cloth one. But actually no, he's got like a chainmail coif on. I don't know about the guys in the back, but there's like some sort of like cloth coif or like aventail thing happening there. And oh, we get to see a little bit of the cavalry here. It looks like he's going to switch to the equites, so we can see them. Yeah, pretty much just a tunic, like a double-layered tunic with this hood thing and then a helmet. And they have arming swords. It looks like there's quite a bit of stuff that they can play with here. Okay, we get to see all the stats. And there's a better look at the cataphracts, or at least a much closer one. Again, the segmented stuff looks great. The lamellar stuff looks great. Chainmail's fine. This is a really cool helmet. It's got like a, I guess a segmented, almost like lamellar aventail. And they've got this heavy lance. I haven't seen anybody couch the lance yet, so I don't know if that's I am hoping that's a thing. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet. And then here are the Fion again, the heavy Battanian archers. Looks like they're getting armor upgrades. And off we go into the second round. So it looks like one or two captains going that way, the other one or two is going this way. So we've got one here. Those, just because we haven't really gotten to look at them yet, these are the Falksmen right here. They don't wear shirts. They're really lightly armored. They're basically berserkers. But we've got the Falksman captain here. This looks like... They're not axemen because they're carrying... They might be the tribesmen. They're not carrying axes, so I wouldn't call them axemen. Or maybe they are. That looks like an axe. He's got spears on his back. They have spears on their backs, obviously. And then these are the Fion. So I think they've got 3 over here and then 2 went the other way. Yeah, so here's the cavalry. We didn't get to see what these guys were called, but they do have... This looks like they're heavier cavalry. And then here are the cataphracts coming to meet them. We're going to see them charge head-on into each other right now, and we'll see some pretty cool kills. I'll try to pause on time. Here is a good one right there. So watch this guy as we go back a little bit. Because the animation that plays out here looks very realistic. He's going to double back off the horse and just fall off, and then we saw another horse just sort of like get slaughtered there. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the physics in their new engine. They look fantastic. Right there we see a horse get stabbed from the right and he falls to his left. The player is thrown a little bit to the left. So let's get one more look at that. This guy right here, you see the horse sort of fall with his momentum, which looks fantastic. That guy just got totally run over. I don't know how I feel about this armor. This armor to me looks a bit weird. Almost like out of place in this game. But just nitpicky things. Digging the new animations, holding the shield up at like a reasonable position there. It looks like you can actually angle your shield, so you're not just always holding it in front of you. You can actually raise it like up, maybe even like to like a testudo type formation degree. We'll see if anybody can actually raise their shields that high. Here we go, them forming up lines. I'm not sure why they decided to set up here. It looks like these guys should have been there and they should have been here, but whatever. More commands and stuff. If you want to see more on the commands, check out my E3 coverage for Bannerlord, because they did a little bit more on, or they showed a little bit more of it there, and I went into greater depth on that. Looks like he's eating some arrows. And back to the cataphracts, charging into the Falksmen. Looks like he ran over several of them. The horses seem to have a lot more momentum. In Warband, you could run over like 1 or 2 guys and then you would stop, but he pretty much plowed through that whole group. And then this is the light infantry. It looks like they have some sort of javelin, or maybe a pila. Okay, and here come their heavy infantry again, charging into the cavalry. And this is one thing I had a little bit of an issue with. You don't actually see him bracing the spear, he's thrusting it at a horse. If you stabbed a horse like that, yeah, you'd probably kill it, but if it was running at you, it would take your arm off at the shoulder too, probably. Same with that one right there. So I'd like to see like a spear brace versus a stab. If you're going to stab like that, you should aim for the guy, because the horse would just tear your arm right off, unless it took the spear out of your hand and you got lucky or something. We see another horse come crashing down there, and again the physics looking great. Let's see if we can get a better view on that. Here he is right here. Boom. He gets just like tossed to the side as he runs into those spears. And we get a nice little ending here. They basically all square up on one of the flags, and both factions just sort of send in everything they've got. There's the Falksmen, and I was a bit underwhelmed by their performance. I think it's because they have so little armor, but a Falx is a very deadly weapon. It gave the Romans a lot of trouble in history. It was even rumored that the Roman helmet designs and armor were modified slightly during the Dacian campaigns to deal with that weapon, because it was so effective, even against their armor at the time. And then here we get a nice little shield wall charge. One thing I would have liked to see there is the formations actually hold. They pretty much charge in formation, and as soon as they hit, it devolves into a brawl, a la Warband. But I don't know if that was just because of how it played out, or if it just always going to be like that, like in Warband. I really hope that you can have formations fighting, or fighting in formation, I guess I should say. But the Empire wins this one, and we can see their banner flying. They're cheering, and that's pretty much it for this one. I liked what I saw. I don't know that I'm going to play much of this game mode, but I did like Tiger Knight Empire War. So, I mean, this is basically going to fill that same niche in terms of gameplay. Not Bannerlord, but this particular game mode. So maybe instead of playing that, I'll play this, but that has RPG elements to that game mode and other progression type stuff where you can level up your character and your units. In this, you're playing online, and I think everything is already accessible. So I don't know that there's really much incentive to continue to play this unless you just really enjoy the game mode. Obviously, for me, the big thing is going to be single player, which hopefully we see more of, but it's cool to see what they've been working on. I thought this looked good. The physics looked great. A lot of the armors look really, really good. There's just a few I think look a bit odd. And some of the influences on the factions I'm still a bit curious about. But anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and informative. If they come out with anything else, I will be sure to cover it. Still working on the dev blog videos. I'll try to have those up soon. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time talking about some Bannerlord with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next video.